Let's talk about math and how we can show each other what the foundation of truth is. This is basic math. 1 plus 1 equals 2. And then you have people out there that try to say that 1 plus 1 is equals 3. So, how does that work out? So if you look at the digits, you can count 1 plus 1 equals 2, and there's no way that 1 plus 1 equals 3. Now in this story here, little Johnny's asked by the teacher, what does 1 plus 1 equals? And he says 3. And the teacher says, well, you're right, Johnny. Good boy. Now the teacher didn't want to break his heart and tell him he was wrong. And so now we just go about believing all kinds of lies and myths. And then he tries to go get a job, and they give him a test with math problems on there. Is Johnny going to get that job? Absolutely not. So what happens in the Bible sometimes is there's a lot of the myths that are presented to us, and not because of people's trying to fool you or anything. They just, there's stories that kind of get twisted about, and all of a sudden you start reading it a little bit more in depth, and you find out, wow, what kind of lies have they been teaching me? So let me show you an example of a myth. All right, we used to teach the children that a stork brought the baby to the doorstep, and that's how babies were brought into the world. Well, any adult would know, and even children should be taught the basics of life. But we try to. Why do we trust the myth? For self-preservation. Now this is a wall. And why do we create walls? To isolate and protect. I got a phone down here, I'm watching what's going on behind me. So where I dip my head, you'll understand why. So in this story here, that I just found, this is from Moses chapter 1 verse 17, and it says that Moses was called upon by the Lord in a bush, from the bush. Now you read it. And he also gave me commandments, this is what Moses says, when he called. I wish I could read my phone. Let me stand up for a second here. And he also gave me commandments when he called upon unto me out of the burning bush, saying, call upon God in the name of mine only begotten, and worship me. And this is what it says in Exodus. I'll give you the second part, the second verse on. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And so, just something I just caught on to is how this is written about Moses and not by Moses. So I hope you caught that yourself. And continue on. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here am I. So again, we could say that Moses is writing in the third person, but it could be that Moses is not saying anything at all, or not writing this at all. But we'll find out. Let's sit back down here. So now, this is what most people think of when they think of the burning bush. This is what I see whenever I think about the burning bush and the Lord calling to Moses out of the burning bush. Again, we can think of this, or we could think of it this way, which gives it more understanding. So now, the next thing we'll read about is the purpose of life. Because if we don't know what the purpose of life is, then understanding the creation really doesn't matter, because if we don't know where we're going, then we'll never be able to make plans of how did we get there, and where are we going. And here God starts to introduce himself to Moses. And you can read it for yourself, it's right there. But again, it says, "And behold, thou art my son, wherefore look, and I will show thee the workmanship of mine hands, but not all, for my works are without end, and also my words, for they never cease." And so here you got, in the whole thing, he's called Moses in the, let's read it then. "And I have a work for thee, Moses, my son, and thou art in the similitude of mine only begotten." So again, once we start getting into Genesis chapter 1 really deep, then I'll show you how that works out. That Moses actually in the similitude of Jesus Christ. And we know that there would be one like Moses who would come and would be one who delivers the house of Israel. So let's continue on. In Moses chapter 1 again, verse 39, this is important to us. Because if once we understand God's position and what he is offering to us, make sure my camera's still working, then we'll understand that not all of life's situations, all of life's situations are going to be most joyful. Sometimes there's going to be sorrow, because this is the only thing that God's purpose is to, "For behold, this is my work and my glory, to bring to pass the eternal life of man, the immortality and eternal life of man." That's it. He didn't say, "I was here to bring you joy while you lived here on this earth." The only purpose he has is to bring you forth as a living being, and then for you to die so that you can reach immortality. And here's Abraham chapter 3, which is important. Very important. Why would we be sent here to this earth? Because we as Latter-day Saints say that our spirits existed before we came to this earth. So what purpose would there be for us to live as physical beings? And this is what Abraham 3 says from God. "And we will prove them herewith, to see if they will do all things whatsoever the Lord their God shall command them." So again, the fact that God is purpose is many things. He wants to first give us a chance to be immortal, and the process of becoming immortal is to become mortal. And the other part is as mortals, that we can understand what it is to become like him even more. We can prove here on this earth whether we want to be with God or not. You know, do we really want to be with him? What is our minds and our hearts saying right now, or or in our daily task, are we thinking about Him, or are we thinking about the world and what it has to offer? So we determine as we have time on this earth whether we truly want to be with Him or not. So let's talk about the creation. In Genesis chapter 1, we know that it says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. But then there's these people that said that the universe was created 13.8 billion years ago. And the universe is almost 90 billion light years in distance. How's this look? So if we were to, this sphere will be a example of the expanse of the universe, and you can see that 80 billion light years, as I've marked it out evenly, 10, 20, or is it, how do I do that? 20, 40, 60, nope. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. All right, so my pointer's in the wrong place. It should be over one notch, but still. The point is that how did matter become affected 80 billion light years away whenever whenever light has only been traveling for, or effect has only been traveling for 13.8 billion years? Now you see these two gentlemen. On the left there is Fred Hoyle, and on the right is George Leventry. Now George is a Catholic theologian. He says that the universe was created all from a single point. He tells Fred Hoyle, and Fred Hoyle says that just sounds like a Big Bang. So that's where we get the term Big Bang, is from Fred Hoyle. Fred Hoyle happens to say that the universe has always been, and then he, when he was listening to George, he was telling him that that his mathematics were not right, and I could understand why. But let's go to Genesis chapter 1 and see what it says. Let's get a little bit deeper than the obvious. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And see, I got the word heaven highlighted, and let's see why. And here we go in the Hebrew text. It says, in the beginning, Elohim, which is plural for gods, created the heaven and the earth. Again, the word heaven is a singular. It's not plural. Only when you, and here you got Elohim, again, in the Hebrew, refers to deities, that's multiple, and is one of the many names or titles for God. And it is plural. And what else do we have here? Oops, yep, I just wanted to re-emphasize this. All right. Again, Elohim and heaven, plural and singular. So, in the beginning, God created this. One speck in the universe. All right. And then, the NIV says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, which is written in 1978. Why they put the plurality of the word heaven? Because it sounds more wide open. Because their narrative is a false narrative and says God created the universe. Now let's see how that works out. Because we already seen William Tyndale in the Hebrew text, I believe. I know that we've seen the Hebrew text said heaven. And in the KJV, it said heavens. It said heaven. And William Tyndale says heaven. And he didn't have, and he was being persecuted and eventually burned at the stake. So he had no reason to change the words to fit any kind of narratives to go along with theology that was being taught. So he put it down, I would say correctly, considering the Hebrew says heaven. Again, this is the idea. All right, first God created this little speck in the universe. Nothing else is involved, or has evolved yet. Because on the fourth day, God made two great lights. Stand up here. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And that was the evening or the fourth day. So we go from this, and then in one day God creates this. Whoa. Yeah, that's the heavens. So our perspective would be very, very small whenever we look at the universe. Just think about when you go outside and you look up in the heavens and you look at the stars, you're only really getting that much angle from the earth to the sky. But yet, there's so many more. Get this. There's over 100 billion planets in our galaxy. And over 200 billion could be in other galaxies. And there's an estimated 100 billion galaxies. Probably 200 billion is what they're really saying, because endless. That's quite interesting. So again, how do you get a God? Let me see here. So how does God create a universe so expansive in just 6 days? It ain't going to work. And considering the amount of energy that was produced by the Big Bang, how do they expect me to believe that this many planets, not even counting stars, but this many planets have been created also within that time frame of 13.8 billion years, and the galaxy being, now they're saying about 96 billion light years in distance. I don't see it happening. So I say the universe has always been. God and the universe are one and the same, and therefore they are one. They've always existed. So what's next? So when you think about creation and their 6-day creation, or however long they say, you have to understand that we can actually see the galaxy Andromeda, which is, let's see, 2.5 million light years away. So light would have to travel 2.5 million years before it would reach from Andromeda to Earth, so we could see it. So how does the light travel that far in 6 days? It doesn't. It never did. It's again, the universe has always been, so it allows us to understand that all things are working in their natural state within the physical laws of the universe. So in our next video, we're going to start talking about Genesis 1 specifically. So be prepared.